I gotta feel
recording
feisty.
on this, and we'll be recording, and I have it plugged in, you can see.
I know, I look for the silver wire every time now. You can't be trusted to hook up the equipment properly.
I'm not trusted. Alright, there we go.
Hello, welcome.
Hello, my baby.
Hello, my darling.
Hello, my ragtime gal. Gal, hey. It's like gabbing, we're gabbing it up. Like Like girls. Just here to talk. Who knew men could just chat? Just chat it up.
Just a couple chatty Cathys.
Chatty Cathy. I'm Kathy, and you're...
I'm Kathy, too, with an I, not a Y.
Yeah.
I'm not a dick.
Yeah, I'm not a dick like you are, Kathy. So, how you doing?
Oh my god, I went to the mall yesterday.
Oh my god.
I know, Kathy, you
Oh
should
my
have
God.
been there.
Oh my god. Did you see Sephora?
Sephora, that fucking skank. She's still in town? I thought she fucking left.
No, I meant the store.
Oh, I didn't even know.
Sephora sells.
Dang it.
They sell beauty products.
Oh, I thought
But
it was
yeah, that stupid bitch Sephora. She was like all like wearing spandex, like she's some hottie or something. Like she's
She don't have the figure for that.
no,
girl.
No, that booty is too loose. We can keep doing the girl voice.
I know. Speaking of weird spandex things, as I was driving to work this morning, we drove by a younger female in Eugene, and she was wearing like these tie-dye, silky, shiny leggings that were like... And as I'm driving, we drive by, and I'm like... The only reason why that bitch is wearing those is for the attention. She didn't... There's no way she was in the department store and saw those hanging there and we're like... Damn, those are stylish. I'm gonna buy those. Like, no way. And no.
Well, I think most of the time, those, yoga pants, those really tight, spandexy legging pants. I mean, what else?
Well, most of
if
the time
their goal is to not be looked at,
Yeah.
they're picking the wrong pants.
Well, I feel like most of the time when you see them, they're like a solid color, but these were just like a ridiculously like
for sure.
shimmered in the sunlight.
Yeah.
I had to put my sunglasses on
Yeah.
because I was blinded briefly. That's an over exaggeration.
The
But
shiny booty.
they were very shimmery. They were just
Yeah.
disgusting looking. I'm like, why would you
Yeah.
go out into public in those unless like nobody that you know likes you and talks to you, so you have
Yeah.
to find a conversation piece to put on your body. So
she's
people will acknowledge you.
advertising to a specific other people. She's saying, "Hey, do you like outrageous, outlandish, Atlantis? If you like Atlantis, you like my pants."
Things that don't
They're under the
exist.
sea. They're under the sea. They were lost in the drought or the floods. There's a difference between drought and
There's
floods.
a lot of Atlantises.
Atlantis
they're like
Morissette?
kind of opposites.
Yeah.
As far as droughts and floods.
Droughts are different than floods.
Yeah, it's just a little bit though.
It's yin. It's yang. It's
Tomato. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know those are two similar. But wait, tomato and tomato are the same thing. We're mixing metaphors here. Anyway, welcome to the podcast, everybody. Thanks for listening. And then if you're watching this on YouTube, you're one of two people who watch this on YouTube. So thank you for watching it and listening and checking us out.
We have a sweet new maroon. Is that maroon? Maroon backdrop?
Burgundy. It's a
burgundy, maroonish.
Red, dark red, blood red.
Sort of.
Blood blue.
There's probably a very specific color for that, like a name for it, I mean.
Who gives a shit? Doesn't matter. I mean, you see it differently than I do anyway, so
it's true.
It doesn't matter. It's a frequency of light that is absorbed or not absorbed, and wherever it comes across, we just got to come up with a reasonable word that makes
name
so
that
we can
fits.
communicate about it. So if I go, hey, you know that, make sure you have that maroon blanket set up, you can be like, oh yeah, I know which one you're talking about. But then if I go red, you're like, wait, you have fucking 3 different types of red in here.
You got burgundy. You got Maroon 5.
Maroon 5. And then we got Bruno Mars.
Bruno Mars.
Bruno Mars red.
Cool. What have you been up to? I haven't seen you
I know.
literally a week.
Yeah, I know. I've missed you, and I was purposefully not trying to mess with you on your break and trying to let you have your whole time off. And
I kind of just shut myself off. Like I didn't even look at fucking Facebook or anything. I was just like dead to the world. It was very nice.
So you enjoyed your it was like a 7-day vacation.
Yeah, it was like the longest vacation I've ever taken, actually.
Yeah.
And the only goal that I set out to accomplish during my vacation was to finish my book, which I did that. So In Romantic Dreams is officially complete. the first draft. So.
That's awesome. Yeah.
So yeah, once I did that, I was like, I don't give a fuck what I do for the rest of the time. So I would just pretty much get up, go on a run with my dog, and then the rest of the day I would just read or play video games or watch movies. It was nice. Like
just chilling.
It was nice to just not have like any kind of agenda. I'm always so busy running around doing all kinds of stuff. So I had to like break myself out of the regimen. I was just like, oh, I need to be doing something. Like I can't just sit here all day. And I was like, fuck it, it's my vacation. I don't care. It's 1 week out of the whole year where I'm just gonna be a lazy, non-productive person.
Good.
So it was nice. It was good. And I celebrated my 6-year anniversary with my wife on the
60th.
No, 6th.
Oh, sorry.
60th?
I was like, whoa, dude.
Whoa, you are way older than you let on.
Man. You're fucking doing it. 6 years.
Fun.
Wow, that's a long time.
Mm-hmm.
You're barely 26, so you're not even 26.
I'm 25.
So you've been together since you guys were under...
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, we've been
like
together
19?
for 9 years.
Right.
We were together for like 3 years before we even got married.
But it changes when you get married. I'm sure that's a lot bigger milestone than just starting to go out. So
that was fun. Well, it was pretty much on vacation. It was just anniversary, finishing a book, and then non-productivity.
Running. But you still ran.
Yeah. Well, I was running twice a day, and I was like, you know what? I'm just going to run once. It's vacation. I'm going to cut it in half. I'm going to cut myself some slack.
Nice.
And then I hit the ground literally running today. I was like, oh, vacation's over. Time to get back to the old grind.
Yeah. Cool. Well, it's good to have you back and good to have you on the podcast. And I'm glad you had a good vacation.
Yeah.
I've been working, but I was off today, so I had a good day. I chilled out, slept in. I paid rent. I got $15 off my rent because I called the lady and said, I don't have a cat, which I don't. And I haven't had a cat for like 6 or 7 months living here, and I could have called her 6 or 7 months ago about the whole thing and paid $15 less a month for the last.
Oh, they just charge you like per month to get a cat?
There's a deposit and then a charge per month, extra rental fee. Now, but it was weird because I'm paying. It's like I'm not paying my full rent. It feels like it because I'm paying less. So I'm kind of like I hope I don't get like a notice like they forgot that I had called them or like I'm just weird to pay less than I've been paying. Like
I thought you were gonna say that you felt like you had like a bunch of extra money and then you were just like out at the bar just blowing all kinds of money because you saved $15 off your month.
Yeah, no, I realize it's not a lot of money. So, but it's exciting. Still.
You want it to feel like a lot of money, you just add it up over the course of the year.
Yeah, or count it in quarters.
More of that. And then turn it into pennies and swim in it.
700 quarters. Pennies, yeah, that's impossible. You can't swim in pennies. That duck was fucked up. Those were not pennies.
What?
The Scrooge McDuck. He was the one who would swim in his vault.
I was thinking of South Park when Cartman wins the bet against Kyle, and Kyle has to give him $10, and then every time you see Cartman in that episode, he's turned the $10 into a smaller increment of money so that he has more of it, and then eventually he's just like, oh, I'm swimming in cash money, because he like turns into pennies and is just like swimming around.
Just
that's what I was thinking of.
Really enjoying his win. Cool. Yeah. What else is up? What's cracking? What's
Not
going
much.
on? So you've been married 6 years? How's that? You like it?
Yeah.
Do you think people should be getting married? Do you like that idea?
You know, marriage is a tricky thing in that you shouldn't do it if you have any doubts in your mind whatsoever. Like,
right, it's a big commitment.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I think that like after people are together for a certain amount of time, they feel like they have to get married, but if you don't want to be married to somebody, just don't do it. It doesn't. For me, it didn't really make that much of a difference. It just meant that I was like legally bound to my wife now. Like instead of us just being in a relationship, we are, in the eyes of the government, bound together permanently, or until one of us throws in the towel and files for divorce. So I don't know. It didn't really change our relationship. We had already been living together for a couple of years, and so. I don't know.
Yeah.
We just had a ring on our finger, and that was about it. And
so what prompted you to get married then? If it really didn't make a difference, the tax benefits are probably pretty minor comparatively, and there could be even issues with that anyway. So
yeah, I don't know.
I'm just curious.
Like, the benefit. We didn't even think about.
Because you weren't planning on having kids, and most people get married because they have this plan. You know, like we're gonna get married, we're gonna have kids, we're gonna buy a house. You know, like and. The marriage is going to help in those areas, but if you didn't have those plans, I'm wondering, not necessarily yourself, but maybe what would be the benefit of?
For us, I had asked her to marry me, I don't know, like a year before we got married, just because I just knew that, I mean, we were in love, and I was like, I don't really want to be with anybody else. I've invested so much time and energy and love into this relationship. I couldn't imagine trying to start over with somebody else. And so, we had been planning to get married for a long time, and then it just kind of just came up. We were coming up on like our normal dating anniversary or whatever, and we were like, we should just go get married. Like on our anniversary is like an anniversary thing where we just
and
get
you have
married.
the same anniversary.
We have the same anniversary, and so it was kind of like a quick process. It was just kind of a spur of the moment thing. We went to the courthouse in Eugene and took care of all of it, and then I don't know, it wasn't really like a spur of the moment because we kind of knew that we wanted to get married, but the act of doing it, at first we were like waiting until we were going to be done with school so we could afford some big nice wedding, and then it just got to this point where we're like, why do we care about a nice big wedding when we can just do it and then move on, kind of a thing. So
for sure, and then just start that new chapter or whatever, where it's way more difficult to get separated. And if you're compatible and you want to show your commitment and be like, hey, this is gonna last, and we're gonna make it through, even if we have hard times or whatever, like doubts or temptations, whatever, I don't know, those are kind of stereotypical marriage issues, money issues and stuff like that. So but yeah, that's awesome. I was listening to a podcast, and the guy was talking about how marriage was, if the two people already have the same kind of values, if they share the same values, and they both are intelligent enough and can work together, then there's no reason to have this institution that kind of forces them to stay together, right? Which is marriage. But then the other person was talking about how, marriage comes about due to the massive amount of resources and time commitments related to children. So originally, marriage might have been, a non-issue, or just something like maybe traditional, or people would just say, oh, this is, we're married because of this or whatever. But when it comes to kids, that's kind of where marriage is makes more sense, because you're committing to stay together for the sake of raising kids that take a lot of resources and commitment and education and all that stuff. So it's obviously beneficial if there's some type of a consequence to breaking up, mid marriage, while the kids are still young, or while the kids are still growing up and all that. So I think I used to be like because there's the whole legal aspect of it. I was always like, well, that's it's the government getting involved in marriage and stuff, but you don't necessarily have to have a government issued marriage to have, like, you can have like without a marriage license, you can like get married, you know what I mean? Like in a more traditional way or something like that, or you don't have to necessarily get the government involved, but by making a commitment, then you have consequences, and you have people that know that you're committed, and they can help you stay together for the sake of what you're doing. So anyway, I just think that's interesting, because I used to be super kind of against marriage, and then now I'm kind of like, well, it makes sense, and obviously it's something people take way too lightly nowadays, but I think that there are a lot of benefits to two people staying together, and they can get a lot out of it.
Like I said, it's definitely not for everybody. I think that there are just people out there who should never be married. They should not do it. I mean, you have people like my mom, who's been in multiple marriages, and they've all just kind of failed, and then she's looking at getting married again in April, and I'm just like, maybe just don't be married. Like, why? I
don't really see after that point.
I mean, I can understand like one or two of them kind of falling through for various reasons, but I mean, at a certain point, you should just not worry about it. If you're happy with that person and you've tried marriage and it didn't work, then just don't do it anymore. Like, you're just creating a bigger hassle for yourself in the future if it fails again or something. And so, I mean, I talked to her a little bit about it one of the last times I talked to her, and she is just dead set on it. So, I mean, there's probably nothing that can change her mind, and she's going to do what she's going to do, and that's fine. I mean, if I was in her shoes, I just don't think I would get married anymore if I had tried it a couple of times and it just fell through each time for various reasons. I would just be like, it's clearly just not for me. I'm just not the kind of person that should be bound to somebody like that. So...
Yeah, I mean, in general, when you have a lot of different romantic relationships, I think you end up, especially long-term ones that don't work out, then you're just you're just going through a lot of heartache and pain and confusion and whirlwind of emotions, you know, up and down and stuff. So I'm sure that takes a toll. So, and then you have people who get married very young for whatever reasons, and they don't know themselves well enough to be in a relationship with themselves for
that's the tricky thing too, especially getting married as young as we were. Is you, I feel like you grow and develop so much, especially like in your early 20s, that you can become like almost a completely different person. So I'm very fortunate that we just remain together. I feel like it's because we kind of have grown together. Like we both have had similar goals and ideas in mind for what we want out of our future, and so that's just helped us along the way. But I could see that being a problem. I think that's why so many people frown upon people getting married so young, is you really don't know yourself that well when you're like 19. You think you do because you've been around for 19 years and you think you know it all, but I feel like the next 4 or 5 years are probably the most important as far as developing you as an adult. So the advantage we had too was that we had lived together. Her mother had kicked her out of the house shortly after she turned 18, and so she was living. We'd already been living together for like almost 2 years by the time, or about over a year and a half by the time we got married. So it was like we already kind of knew everything about each other. It wasn't like we got married and then moved in together. We had been living together for a pretty long time, and so we were already familiar with each other's. I feel like people can sometimes be a little different when they're at home by themselves versus being out in public on a date or something like that.
Yeah.
So.
Well, it takes time to really get to know somebody, and before all the defenses and things start to come out and to drop off, and
we get used to being around them all the time too. Because I mean, if you don't live together, you just see each other, maybe a few times a week or more. But to have the person like there every single day, is a lot different. So
eating all your stuff and taking
sleeping
a shower
on your bed and shit. Yeah,
fucking annoying. Just get out of here. What are you doing? Jeez. No, I've lived with girlfriends, and it was pretty much like being married. I mean, we shared almost everything, and we had chores that we each did, and we maintained our house, and we shared rent and stuff like that. And
you should definitely live together before you get married. Like, you should never. I don't think you should ever just get married without living together with somebody for at least like a year or something, just to really because if you can make it that year with minimal problems, there's always gonna be problems. There's no way. Like, nobody has like this perfect relationship.
I think there's arguments against getting together, because what happens if people live together is a lot of times they live together for a while and they think that, and then they don't end up getting married because they're just like, okay, we're just living together. Yeah. And then there isn't that commitment. It's kind of like, well, we live together, but I can still get out anytime I want. And then you have people who, because you can still get to know somebody pretty well over the course of a few years to find out if you're compatible. And then if you get married at that point, and then you start a house together as a married couple, I think you can kind of start over in that realm, as opposed to kind of just trying to transition. But it obviously depends on the situation and the people and the compatibility.
Yeah, I think the trickiest thing is it's the person and the the two people involved.
Yeah. I think,
or 3 or 4, or whatever kind of relationship you're into.
Yeah, I don't know. That's pretty rare.
But it's always tough because people always ask me like, "Oh, how have you kept your marriage together for so long?" I don't know. I just do it. If we have a problem, we just talk about it, and sometimes we fight, and then we just leave each other alone, and we apologize, and then we just continue on. I don't know.
Yeah, we hide it.
There's not like a secret to it. You just either are compatible with somebody and are willing to make sacrifices, and they're willing to make sacrifices.
Yeah.
That's
and
that's
you care
really
about
what
each
it boils
other,
down.
And you want to compromise, and there are people who don't know how to compromise, and there are people who are very aggressive and violent and dominant and authoritative, and there's all different types of personalities. It's not all the same. So people think, well, our marriage just doesn't work. Oh, marriage, it's about your fucking ability to have a relationship. Like, relationships are not just a given. Like, you aren't just good at having relationships because you exist. You either care about your relationships and work toward making yourself better at having them or whatever. And marriage is a long-term relationship. And so if you care about it, and then you do the work before you get married, and then you do the work while you're married and all that, I imagine. But
I think another problem too is that like media and stories really romanticize romance. Like, you look at those like romantic comedies and or other romance like movies and stuff. they like paint relationships in this like glorious light of it's always like amazing and you're always just like crazy in love. They should make like there's a really good movie that had Michelle Williams and Ryan Gosling in it called Blue Valentine. It's a great, I don't know if you've ever seen it. Yeah, it's a great look at a relationship.
Very depressing.
Because it starts off with that very exciting kind of Twitter-pated, like they're in love, they first fell in love, and like it leads into that romance, and then it like, you know, it skips ahead so many years into their marriage, and you can see like what it can become. Because a lot of like romantic comedies, they show the beginning of the relationship, then the movie's over. Like the movie usually ends after they finally get together, after everybody's been rooting for them and they've gone through these trials or whatever. But and that's where it ends. So you don't get to see what a relationship is like after that. Like a lot of those romantic comedies, I bet you if they were like, 3 years later, because people probably wouldn't be together anymore or whatever. So
well, in most romantic comedies, both people are fucking idiots. They're both fucking idiots, and there's no reason for them to like each other other than sexual attraction. They just, that's a pretty guy I saw across from the room. It was looking at me. Oh, that's a pretty girl. I'm gonna go hit on her. And then, there's a little bit extra. There's something there. It's special. She's special girl. And then that's not fucking real life. That's just sex. That's just you want to fuck that person. And that's what all romantic comedies are about. They're not like the person barely ever goes like, are you Christian? Yeah, what do you think about that? How does that play a role in your life? Are you planning on raising your kids Christian? You know what I mean? Like that's what relationships are about, is like understanding people's view of the world and how life should be lived, and how money should be dealt with, and no one gives a shit about that stuff in romantic comedies. But then you start living together, you get married, or you're even just together for a long time, and you find out that this person just is like totally different than a person you would want to be around. So then you have all these problems, but you're so invested, or you're still want to have sex with them, or like you think that there's nothing better out there. So that's reality is like you usually make a shit ton of bad decisions in relationships, especially because you're seeking them out for a particular expectation of like this like long-term kind of thing. But then people don't know themselves, and they don't know the other person. They don't know how to ask tough questions, or be like, because then it becomes, a lot of people are confrontational about that kind of stuff. Like, well, it's my beliefs and whatever. It's like, you know what I mean? Like, I think there's a lot more that goes into it that could lead to better relationships. But in romantic comedies, there's nothing real about any of that stuff.
I think that it just creates that false expectation.
But I mean, who
mostly
really,
for women?
Is it women?
Than men.
Yeah,
I think mostly women. I'm sure that there's men out there who get kind of swept up in it. But I think it just creates this idea that your relationship should just be like that all the time. It's not. There's moments like that. But a lot of it's just mundane. It's just day to day. My wife and I aren't like all over each other every single day. Like you just have those moments where, like, just something exciting happened, or one of you did something cool, and you just kind of share that moment together. It's not like this endless romantic comedy showdown of just... Yeah,
and you're not just like... You don't... Like, guys and girls, guys and gals.
Guys and gals.
Dudes and ladies. Men and women have such different biological expectations or tendencies, like in how we select mates and how we reproduce and how we, what kind of, hormones are going through our bodies, and the expectations and then the general commitments that we have related to reproduction and mate selection and things like that, resource-wise. And there's just so much that goes into it that I can see why females they have a particular ideal, like the guy's going to be both amazingly handsome, but also really, really like financially like aggressive. Like they're also very like they're kind of cold-hearted, and they stomp on people, and they they get the resources from everyone else so that they can and they have this ideal of this guy, or he's just super funny and witty, but then he finally gets his life together and fucking gets a job that's going to support them. It's about they want really good genetics, but also money. You know what I mean? They want them to look really good, but also be able to have a job and, you know, stuff like that. And then guys, their expectation is totally different. It's like they just kind of look at genetics. They're just like, okay, I just want to breed. I want to get my, you know, DNA reproduced, and the female that has the best fertility, you know, which has indicators through beauty and
Breast
things like
size,
that. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, all that stuff. And so that's what we're looking at, and we're just like, okay, hot girl, mating time, and then they're like, okay, guy that can support me and my kids for a little while, you know, for years and years and years and years, but also looks really good. But the problem is that in society, the guy who looks really good oftentimes will be a piece of shit asshole because he can go through their whole life like that, whereas the really nice guy who maybe is a little bit, you know, who's an accountant or whatever, is kind of looked past, you know, at least in the early stages of you know, pair bonding and stuff. So it's just it's interesting how people don't look into this stuff. They don't really think about it. They don't think about themselves as like this biological creature who has major drives toward sexual, you know, accomplishments, you know, and goals like that are not under my control for the most part. Like my body and my brain and my balls just want certain things.
Yeah, you just see something and you're just like, I would like to have sex with that person.
Yeah. I don't really care that much about anything else. But then you have the long term, you know, then you have to think about it. You have to stop yourself and be like, okay, what would this be like? Would they be a good mom? Would they be a good partner for this amount of time? How do they handle their money? You know what I mean? Like, that's that kind of like mature kind of older person. You know what I mean? Like you know, people don't want to talk about that kind of stuff, but it's like, but if we all just kind of were more straightforward, like, hey, I really want to have sex with you. If this is gonna be a long-term situation, let's get some shit in order now, because it's gonna be a huge waste of fucking time and heartache, and we're gonna fall in love because we really just are in lust. You know, that's not really. I don't know.
So you almost think that a first date should just be the big questions. It's like the outright, like, these are my expectations. This is what I want. These are my goals. Yes. Instead of like the small, like, oh, what's your favorite movie?
Yeah, what's your favorite color?
I know. I just finished a book the other day, and I thought it was interesting. Like, and that's the thing, is a lot of those first dates, you don't know each other that well, so it's like all this like awkward small talk when you're trying to like find that thing that you kind of both like, so that you have something to talk about instead of
just so there's not this, but like you don't want that silence of like oh my god, the sexual tension here is crazy, or oh my god, this person is ugly and I don't want to be around here anymore, but I already committed to this date or whatever. I'm sure there's a lot of you know, first dates are probably crazy. I haven't been on one in so long, it doesn't even matter.
I haven't either. I haven't been on one in 9 years. I
think when you're older and you have expectations of long-term things, then you have to talk about that stuff. You have to bring it up. It's early on. Maybe not the first date, but the second date. You got to fucking talk about it, because the second you have sex, you're going to have feelings for each other. She's gonna, you know, hormones, neurotransmitters get released that create like a desire for each other for a certain amount of time. And I think it's a little bit longer on the female end, but even men get very attached very quickly, and you know, especially if they, you know, have issues with intimacy or something like that, they can get very attached to somebody giving them attention, or somebody, you know, giving them affection and all that. And so you get attached, and then you have expectations of where we go from there. You know what I mean? So I think people are super willing to get sexual early, but then later on, you know, it ends up pretty bad because of the lack of preparation into having a longer term relationship. And it doesn't necessarily, it could be just, hey, you know, let's see where this goes. I don't want something long term, but you know, if it turns out, then we'll get serious and talk about this stuff. I think you can be flexible about it, but people aren't honest. They're not like, I just want to have sex and you're hot and I want to be around you and let's see what happens. And the problem is, the other person then, even if they say that, the other person might just agree to it just so they can get that person in their life, just so they can have some affection, or you know, go on more dates or something. You know, like they might just agree, like, oh yeah, that sounds fun, let's just do that. But really, they're thinking, I don't want to go through that again. I want, you know, I want somebody who at least I'm somewhat compatible with.
It's almost like a trivia game show where you're just like, I'm just trying to get to the next round. I gotta say that.
Yeah, a lot of people are.
The next round.
Yeah. Yeah, because for a guy, the next round is having sex, and then for a girl, the next round is probably also like having sex. But then, where does it go from there? And both people have to figure that out and have the expectations are there. But it's like it seems like people are really quick to have the sex. They don't get that it's kind of a bigger deal than it is as far as biology goes and hormones and things, and then. But they're not willing to do a little bit of uncomfortable conversation, which has almost no negative consequence. The only thing you can do from an uncomfortable conversation is learn.
Yeah.
You can only learn about the person, but people don't necessarily want to learn about the person that they just want to bang. Because their brain is shut off, and they're just like sexually driven. You know what I mean? So yeah.
So for those listening, if you're going to go on a first date, you got to ask the big questions.
Yeah.
Unless you're just looking
you're like 15 and then just like wear condoms and be super safe and have fun.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't care. Like that, as long as you're not producing children, you're able you can do that. But the whole purpose of sex is kids. So don't pretend like babies, what are those? Like don't fucking forget that's like the whole reason why you're attracted to them and why it's so exciting and why it feels so good is because our biology is like really interested in making more of us. That's way more important than most things to our subconscious, self. And then we have our, 2% of our lives that is conscious that goes, well, what about decision making and free will and doing the right thing?
Do I love this person?
Yeah.
I don't even know if I like this person that much.
Yeah.
I want to love them, but I want that bod.
Yeah. It's weird because love can have lots of different definitions and lots of different manifestations, like, oh, we're in love, but you've only been together for a couple weeks and you're really just kind of avoiding reality in your haze of massive amounts of dopamine, dopamine and oxytocin that just makes you feel like you're loved like by the whole universe, but really that's just so you can have more kids. But you're using condoms and you're negating all of God's will to reproduce and
goddamn kids,
plethora of children. Anyway, let's get off this fucking topic. I don't know. I was just anyway.
This launched in from.
Let's do the words. The word time.
Yeah, do it. What's your word? Let's hear it. Let's go.
So I was listening to someone talk, and they said the word per se.
Per se.
Which I don't know if that's a word. And I don't know if it's a word per se, but per se is a word. And it reminded me of the South Park episode, which was awesome, just because they say per se a lot. So I looked it up, and I was like curious, what is the actual definition? Because it's a very subtle word. You're just saying per se, like in the midst of a thing that when you could probably just not say it, you could just go past it.
Isn't it like two words kind of, or is it?
It is. There's a space.
Like, okay.
It's one like phrase, but it's probably French or something like that. And it means by or in itself or themselves.
And is it PER space SE, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I can't remember if it was SE or SAY, but I thought it was SE.
Yeah. So. And it another definition is intrinsically, which I think makes more sense. As in, when you say it's an adjective that describes something that, like you usually say, like per se. It's such a weird word to describe.
I've never. I like don't even.
Yeah,
I can't even think of the last time I just used it. I've used it before, like in normal conversation, but I couldn't even tell you about what or why.
Yeah, it just comes up. I think it's just kind of like naturally.
It almost feels like a filler word, kind of like the word like or
Yeah,
it just seems like something you would say to fill space while you're connecting your thoughts together to form some sentences. You're just like, da 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 per se, da 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 da, and then I can't even think of a sentence.
I'll read a sentence with it. So it says, "It is not these facts per se that are important." So what you're saying is, it is not these facts in and of themselves that is important. It's something that we're talking about that's important, or these facts just add to what really is important. So it's like per se is just saying
they're not tied to it, but they're still like relevant.
This particular thing is not, intrinsically, or it's just saying. I can't. I'm done. I'm done trying to fucking explain it. Just use the word and it's fine. It's not that big of a deal.
It's not really the definition
it's a
of the
weird
word per se. It's just how it's used.
Yeah, exactly.
Boom.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fireworks.
Yeah.
Oh my god, he blew it out of the water. Ooh,
You're like a
really
wordsmith. What is that noise?
Oh no.
Fucking music. That's the one thing we don't really have much in our podcast is any music because I don't want to violate any copyright laws.
It's true. You just hit up Zach. We'll just keep playing his music all the time.
Yeah, I'll have to. We could play some in the background or something.
Anyway, that's exciting.
No, it wasn't.
Demassify.
That's my word.
Demassify.
Demassify. It's actually a verb.
Is it to like when Catholic people are having mass
Then they just expel the mass.
and they just like get these people out of here, demassify, or objects have mass, which is how we which is affected by gravity. And to demassify would be like to incinerate. We're getting rid of the mass. Am I getting close?
Those definitions are like, they're kind of close. You're like dancing around the edge of it, kind of,
Ooh,
but not quite.
that. I like that picture.
Not quite. The definition's in the middle.
Just around the edge.
Let's go get to
just
it.
around the edge.
It actually means to break something into elements that appeal to individual tastes or special interests.
What?
Let me read that
to
again.
break it down
To break something
appeal
into
to-
elements that appeal to individual tastes or special interests.
That's weird. How would anybody ever want to use that? We're going to demassify this legislative bill so that we can explain its parts to the people it's relevant to.
Let's see. Here's an example. Product designers focused on stylization and customization instead of on utility as advertisers and marketers began to demassify the mass market, breaking consumers into ever finer market segments and targeting them through an expanded and more refined media system.
Ugh.
That doesn't really explain it much better, actually. Very good.
It sounds like an industry term that you would use to sound smart. Instead of like
Yeah,
you
that's
could
what I
easily
figured.
just restate that in an easier way.
The only thing, like if I can speak.
Don't speak.
Don't
speak. I know what you're thinking.
I
I don't need your reason.
But an example I can think of that would probably work is if you took literary fiction, you could demassify it into horror and science fiction and
It's like a
fantasy.
classification.
Kind of,
It's just
yeah, because it's like
dichotomy.
those are all fiction, but if somebody maybe not doesn't like horror stories but likes fantasy, so you would demassify fiction into that personal taste of